Well, hello there. Welcome to my swamp. My name's Clem. This is Foo, Hugh, and Sue. This is Bosco. We got little baby Roscoe right here. We've been calling this little guy right here Lefty. But you see, Lefty's actually from a broken home. We're looking for his owner. We don't know where they are.
We're looking for him.
We're looking for him real hard. And we're hoping to find them. But if you know, just let us come find us. Come and get them. And thank you always, and have fun at AnimeNEXT 2015.
Super Saiyan's glow, I will always stay gold.
This is Nerdcore Absolution. Come to peace with your inner nerd, and after you can stay gold like T.O.M. Chilling out the galaxy, and we know him. Putting tunes up that'll keep you up. Glued to the screen like you do too much. The galaxy is ours, the sun and the stars. Tsunamis on and chilling hard. Watching closely from a perch among the stars. As viewers awake the moment when the spirit bomb can charge. Hito Yui self detonates. Yu Hakusho replicates and spits in the spirit realm while their chests are pounding hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? My name is John Ramos, and I am here for the Absolution Network. And today I have here a very awesome guest here. He is the voice of Marlowe, Attack on Titan. He is Italy from Italia. He is Jadeite from Sailor Moon, the new dub. And of course, one of my personal favorites, Legend of Korra, Batar Jr.
Oh yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Todd Haberkorn.
Hello.
Todd, how you doing today?
Doing great.
Good. It's really hot out there, right?
Yes, it is.
It's scorching.
Absolutely hot outside.
How do you deal with that?
I stay indoors and work.
Oh, air conditioned, right?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start off with the first question here. How much fun did you have playing Yuichiro Tojima from Big Wind-Up, and what kind of preparation, if any, did you have to go through?
With those shows, with basically all anime, we really depend on the director to guide us to the right place with our characters in the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are times when you'll get a chance to watch the show before you do it, like with Fairy Tail, I saw some before doing it. But you know, once you get with a good director, you guys will get into a flow, especially if you've done shows before together, or if you've done any kind of anime before. There are archetypes, so you kind of know where you fit in those archetypes, and you can play around in that sandbox. And so for Big Wind-Up, it was, you know, I knew the premise of the show, and we went with it and rocked it out. And I was a baseball player when I was a kid, so it was all good.
What position in baseball?
I did I was right field. I started off as right field, and then I went to second baseman.
Oh, okay.
So
nice. Did you like the switch or not?
Yeah, right field is like you're just kind of hanging out in the grass, but second base has got a lot of action.
Yeah. What genre of anime, horror, action, ecchi, do you find is the most fun to act in?
Man, I get a kick out of those shoujin anime. I mean, Fairy Tail is really fun to do, and it's been a part of my life for a long time. I got a tattoo for it.
Yeah.
So it's
It's on your arm, or?
yeah, it's right. Yeah, it's right there. So
Oh, wow.
after I did the 100th episode, I promised the fans that I'd get a tattoo if we ever got to 100 episodes, and we did. And we recorded the last line of the 100th episode, and then we got a camera crew and went down to the tattoo parlor and got it.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. In your opinion, what is your Mount Rushmore of voice actors?
Oh, well, you've got Rob Paulson, Kevin Conroy.
Mm-hmm.
You've got there's some Frank Welker, and then of course Mel Blanc. I mean, you those. There we go.
Mel Blanc's an instant addition to that. Thing. Yeah.
It comes. That was an era that we don't have anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then any of the guys and girls, obviously, from The Simpsons, they're so talented. I mean, look at Harry Shearer, who just quit The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I mean, look how many voices he did. 23 voices, and when they go through the list of the voices he did, I didn't even know he did some of those voices. And he's so good. There's every single person on that show is so talented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you look up to Mel Blanc when you were?
Without knowing it, because I was watching Looney Tunes and watching all these cartoons and just watching it. It's seamless. You don't think that that's a voice actor doing those characters. You just think that those characters come to the set and they shoot their show and that's it.
Yeah.
It was really, really inspirational.
Nice. Out of all your roles so far, what is your most difficult role that you've done and why?
Most difficult role. There was a game I did called Rage by the guys that made Doom and Wolfenstein. I came in to do this game, and there were a lot of lines. You do each line about 3 times, so roughly, considering that, is about almost 1,000 lines. And the voice was very guttural, very growly, very creaturey. It hurt. Like, doing 15 of those lines would have been enough, and my voice would have been good for the day.
Yeah.
But having to do 900 lines yelling, man, it was just so hot in the booth because it's so active.
Much like outside right now.
Oh my God, yes. I lost my voice for almost 10 days. Yeah, absolutely couldn't even whisper.
And how do you cure that voice? Or
not talking, not pushing it, drinking warm liquids, and just hoping that I get it back. Yeah, it was scary.
So during that time when you're pretty much your throat is not really what it is, do you have other roles that you do during that time?
I had to cancel sessions. Had to cancel all the sessions and just see when it got better. It was rough because I'm in the booth every day, and so not being able to do that for 10 days is a long time. I mean that's 2 work weeks. So, there's a lot of now deadlines are a little more tight than they used to be. With the simul dubs and everything like that. So, but it was scary because 10 days is a long time to not even be able to whisper. So yeah, it was scary.
If there's one role, if you said this is it, I'm done, I'm retiring from the business, what would be the one role that is the most memorable to you and to your fans?
That I haven't done yet.
That you have done.
Oh, God, I don't want to stop. It would have to be Natsu from Fairy Tail because so many people all over the world tell me what that show means to them, and from the kids to the parents they've all cosplayed it. They've all made me artwork and sculptures, and I've had other celebrities come up to me and say their kids love Fairy Tail. Like some of the guys from The Hobbit, or recently when I was in Australia, came up and said, it's just a very impactful show, it seems, and that's a shout out to Mishima-san, who created the show and all his hard work. So glad I get to be a part of it.
And just one last question before we go. I heard of things called Toddisms, and I just wanted to say if you had any Toddism to say to us before we cut off.
Well, tell you what. So there's someone that just contacted me on Twitter, and they're they're about to get a surgery done in August, and they're gonna have to be in a facility to recuperate and such. They're really depressed about it, and they asked for advice. They're like, how am I gonna deal with this? And they said, well, there are 2 ways you can deal with it. You can be depressed, and that's risky because that leads to a downward spiral that you don't even know if you ever get out of it. Or you challenge yourself and give yourself little goals each day that you can knock out, that keep you focused on the light, on the finish line of getting out of that. Because depressed or not, your surgery is going to have to heal. So everyone's got to replace surgery with something else in life. So you can look at life in 2 ways. You can look at it very negatively, or you can look at it positively and set your goals and go for those goals. And that's what served me for years and years and years. And so if people think the world's against them and they're always a victim and they can't make it ahead in life and nothing ever goes right, change your perspective. Change how you do things, and I bet you that'll change your life.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. Todd, thank you very much for this interview. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
My name is John Ramos. See you guys next time.
Take care.
Wow, I'm taking so many fan service pictures.
Simple.
You're gonna face me and try to do that. I tried to do that.
Violence! I didn't know. Oh my god. This is what happens when you take too many fan service pictures. And AnimeNEXT!
Everybody pull.
Yeah. Hey there, Tsunami Generation, and welcome to another wonderful episode we here have at AnimeNEXT 2015. We are interviewing the legend.
I'm not a legend.
Oh, you're a legend.
I'm just a guy who shouts a lot.
You are a god.
I am a guy who talks a lot. I mean, how am I any different than, like, Louis C.K.? Okay, he's funnier than me. But he makes a career out of yelling at people. I make a career out of yelling at people. It's like, what is it? Last year, one of the esteemed featured panelists compared me to Adolf Hitler because I'm really loud, I'm really excited, and I can get people to listen to me. How am I any different than anyone who shouts a lot and gets people to listen to them? Oh wait, I talk about anime. Wait a minute, we need a prop.
Yeah. Now we're doing it right.
Now we're doing it right.
So, Charles, thank you for being here.
I like listening to myself talk.
Well, we're about to listen to you talk because we're okay. Who in this relationship is Sandow and who is
I'm always Sandow.
You're always that.
Sandow's awesome. Sandow needs a push.
So
this macho Mandow crap needs to go away, and he needs to go back to being the intellectual savior of the masses.
I'm going to be Axelmania for tonight, but our first...
You're Axelmania.
I've never been eliminated.
No, you've never been eliminated. I have, but that was another story for another day.
So, but the first thing I want to talk about is what I love and endear you for from last year is, can you explain to the folks your theory on Kill la Kill?
My glorious death of the author theory about Kill la Kill. Do you want the literary theory or the non-literary theory? Because as far as I'm concerned, and here I'm just going to say this, the greatest part about death of the author, when you read into something that may or may not actually be there or that the author didn't intend to put in there, it does two things for you. Number one, it exposes acculturation, where a person will create a story based on their own culture, subconsciously influencing how they tell it. It's how we tell stories, and it usually takes an outsider to point it out. That's one thing I like about Death of the Author 1. Death of the Author 2, it forces you to actually know stuff. So before you can actually talk about Death of the Author, you need to be well versed in it. And one of the things that I will go to my grave saying about Kill la Kill, you will absorb more about Japanese culture, history, folklore, mythology, social customs, intergenerational conflict, and hidden anime references by watching this show than you will by doing anything else. The fact that the show got me to research Meiji Japan, research Yamato Damashi, got me to research 13th century Japanese folklore, this is something that is more endearing than whether or not it's there or not. The fact that I now know about it, and I can talk about it at length, is the important part. Because in the end, the author's job is to engage and to stimulate the mind. And Kill la Kill does it in the best way possible, with movies.
You can't argue it. It's
you
the
come for the boobs, you stay for everything else.
As with a lot of good ecchi, like High School DxD.
Do you really call that ecchi, though? I don't really call that ecchi.
It's sexual fan service, and I think...
You see, I can agree with the fan service, but one of the things that I keep bringing up when I talk about it is the characters are naked, but when you understand one of the wonderful aspects of Japanese culture is your clothing is usually an accumulation of sin, regret, and delusions. Like when you die, there's this woman named Atsueba who kind of hangs out right on the river of the underworld, and she takes her clothes off and hangs them from a tree. And your clothes are the accumulation of sin and the lies you tell yourself. So if the tree branch, and it's a willow tree, mind you, so you know that's some spongy stuff. If the tree breaks, the branch breaks, you have been judged as guilty and you have to find your own way across the river. If you show up naked, either you're trying to deceive her or you literally have no inhibitions. Like literally, you have no regrets, no fears, no delusions, no nothing. So when Satsuki runs around naked, she says, I bare my breast for the worlds to see. She's fighting with righteousness. When Ryuko finally accepts herself and accepts her insecurities, what happens? Senketsu gets even skimpier, but now he doesn't need to drink her blood all that much. Again, the general idea is they're fighting uninhibited. There's no fear there. So in that case, running around naked actually makes perfect sense.
I absolutely agree. I don't consider it an ecchi show, but I'm saying there are other ecchi shows that and we've had this talk before.
Yes, I believe we had this talk at Otakon last year.
Yeah, that I believe are good because it falls in. But I don't consider Kill la Kill an ecchi show.
I just love it. I think it's a fantastic
I love it. I'll tell you this. After going to your panel last year, I started watching it again? Because I only made it to episode 10. I started back at episode 1 and rewatched it, and it was like a completely different experience for me.
It just, that show, it's like I watched it 3 or 4 times, and at this point, I'm going to be glad when the book comes out and I'm done with the show entirely, because I have spent so much time reading and watching and talking about Kill la Kill that I honestly don't care anymore. What made the show magical has been completely destroyed for me. These days, you know what show's been catching my attention? Legend of Korra. I am watching Legend of Korra. Oh, and Death Parade. Death Parade was fantastic. So at this point, I'm looking for that next Lightning in a Bottle series. And Kill la Kill, it served its purpose. I've been yelling about it for a year, but at this point, I really want something new to come along and blow me away, because there is not much left I can research about Japanese culture, at least in that regard. I need something new and stimulating, or I'm just going to start playing Dungeons and Dragons again.
Well, to bring up Japanese mythology, because that's what Kill la Kill did. What other animes out there do you think best use Japanese mythology outside of Kill la Kill?
Here we go. Persona. Anything with the word Persona in it. Persona, Persona 2, Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona Q, Persona Golden. Just Persona. Particularly 3, which is the myth of Orpheus, and 4, which is the story of Izanagi in the underworld. You're going to want those. Death Parade was amazing, because Death Parade presented a phenomenal reconceptualization of the Buddhist afterlife concept, and I thoroughly loved it. Dragon Ball is the Monkey King. It is the story of Sun Wukong going to the west that eventually turns into a shonen fight series. Hosoki's Cool-Headedness, otherwise known as Hosoki no Reitetsu, just came out on Blu-ray. I bought it, worth buying. Is another good example of explaining the Japanese Jigoku hell and how that hell relates to other underworlds. So I highly recommend that one. What else is good there? Pokemon is just a fantastic exploration, not only into yokai, but also the culture around yokai, collecting the stories, collecting the monsters, and just having fun and playing with it. So, you can find little tidbits of Japanese folklore and mythology in a lot of these. Sasami Sonic on Baranai. Ms. Sasami is unmotivated. It's just the story of Amaterasu told through the point of view of a hikikomori schoolgirl. And Amaterasu is the original hikikomori who's hid away in a cave because her brother was mean to her. So you gotta look, it's like, you gotta find some of this stuff and just go to town and enjoy it. And just, if you find it, and then just run with it as you can.
But whether it's hidden looks into mythology or whether it's like plain sight, like the Peach Girl anime that came out.
Because that's a variation on Momotaro, I believe.
Yeah, Momotaro, yeah. And it's just like anything that like has that look into Japanese mythology, I find always fun because again, it's a different culture, and I love learning about different cultures.
Well, you know what's really great? What's really great? You ever read like apocryphal Christianity? And I'm just going to say this: we're a Western nation, so Christianity is part of our thing. But if you ever get around to reading it, read the books of Enoch and Raziel, because oh my God, Christian stuff is amazing. We don't realize how awesome the idea of avenging angels coming down from up high to smite stuff is. Because we are too used to the connotation of what the culture is based on what we know. If you can remove yourself from that, just remove yourself and be an outsider, you're going to have the greatest time engaging with material. Why? Because it's there. Because that material it's going to show it to you in a new light. And honestly, every folklore, every mythology is worth checking out, even the stuff that we think we know.
Oh, absolutely. So, next question is, I've been asking voice actors about their Mount Rushmore of voice actors, but for you, I want to ask you about what's your Mount Rushmore of anime experts that you look up to. I know, my first expert was John Opplinger, who did Ask John.
Okay. When it comes to anime experts, Helen McCarthy, the uncrowned queen of the universe. She wrote the Anime Encyclopedia. She wrote Hayao Miyazaki, Master of Japanese Animation. I flew to ASEN last year specifically to hang out with her. She is number 1. Number 2, Frederick Schott, Tezuka's friend and personal translator. Wrote the Astro Boy essays, Dreamland Japan, America and the Four Japans, and I think Manga, the world of Japanese comics. That might have been Helen, because they both wrote books about it. But Frederick Schott, yes. You definitely need to pay attention to Frederick Schott. Number 3 is Patrick Drazen, the author of Anime Explosion, which is getting a new edition. And he's really big into folklore, he's really big into mythology, and I would consider him to be my number 3 only because of what he's done for just bringing anime scholarship. Like, all these people, the one thing they all have in common is they are all fans, and they have brought it down to the fandom. Rather than reading a long didactic essay, Fred and Helen and Patrick have made it accessible and opened the door for more people. And I guess Fred Patton, the late Fred Patton, from I think it was DC Anime Club, wrote a book called Watching Anime, Reading Manga that was one of the formulas, the big text when I started getting involved in fandom. Because all of them spoke in plain English to the fans and found ways of engaging and exploring the mythology. So if I were to pick my Mount Rushmore, it would be Helen, Fred, Patrick, and the other Fred, in that order. Because without them, I don't think anime studies, and I don't think anime in general would have the kind of breadth of fascination, because it took those 4 and their passions to make it that way. So seriously, Astro Boy essays, Anime Explosion, Anime Encyclopedia, Watching Anime, Reading Manga. Those are the 4 books you start with. Read them. And then from there branch out, and you will be pleasantly blown away by all the things you found from there.
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely on my list.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's the important part is, again, so many people, they watch one anime and they think they know anime. You gotta branch out. You gotta
just absorb what's out there.
You gotta be a sponge.
You gotta be a sponge. Yeah, there's so much out there. How do you decide what you choose? I choose mine based on what looks interesting to me. And there have been tons of shows that I thought were gonna be great. Like, I really, really, really thought I was gonna like Sumo Asshole, and I didn't. I really, really thought Ping Pong was going to be phenomenal. I made it halfway through the show, and then I just gave up on it. But then there's these little shows like Gantz that I kinda, sorta, and then boom, Strike Witches. Again, didn't think I'd like that. I devoured Strike Witches. So you never know what you're going to like, so just give yourself the ability to sample and then run with it.
So, within anime itself, what genre of anime do you think is most overlooked?
Ooh, that's a tough one, because I don't find many genres. I mean, okay, giant robots, you see way too much of. Slice of life, you see way too much of. I think Legend of the Galactic Heroes is one of those shows that doesn't get enough love. And it's a giant sweeping space opera. But what I like about it is it combines Japanese history, military history, and a lot of different aspects of Japanese social life that frequently get overlooked because people aren't as interested in it. I think shows like that, shows that, like for example, Kids on the Slope, another amazing like period piece that explains what was going on in Japan during the post-war. That's the kind of stuff I feel gets overlooked and needs to get more exposure, because fantasy is fantasy and it has universal tropes that we all love. But getting in touch with Japan is something that I think Americans need to do more of. And that's important.
We actually just had a talk. I had a person come up after my Urban Mate panel talking about, you know, how she felt like some people, they try to fit anime into American ideas when, you know, they're based off Japanese ideas.
Okay.
And she's absolutely right.
Anime is just the Japanese interpretation of Western animation. But when you go into there, what is absorbed in there? American, French, all sorts of different styles. But it's the distinctly Japanese interpretation of animation.
Yes.
And there's cultural cues in there, and there's little social nuances in there that get lost on the viewer, but that makes them more fascinating. I mean, what is Astro Boy but Tezuka copying Disney? But he made it Japanese, and it has the same kind of Japanese, a lot of the Japanese notions of liminality in the post-war period. It has a lot of notions of just Japanese ethos on something that is very heavily Disney-inspired. So it was a blend, it was a syncretic creation. And that is what makes shows like Astro Boy so phenomenal, and that's what people need to strive for.
Last question, to wrap it up in a very fun way, is what animes do you have the most fun watching?
Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. I've watched that show at least 6 times. Because you want to see how Japan does America, watch Beck. Because the general idea of a bunch of Japanese school kids who decide to create an alt-rock band, that shows a love affair to... It makes love to 90s alternative music. And that is something that we need to see more of, that kind of how does Japan process external forces. Beck. Azumanga Daioh, because why the hell not? Love Hina, because why the hell not?
I love you right now.
Love you. Well, I mean, when I got into anime, when anime was at its peak in my life, and people may not know this, but anime reached its pinnacle for me in 2002 to 2003. That was when anime meant the most to me, and since then, it's had to share the spotlight with a lot of other things. But the last time I watched anime purely for the sake of enjoying myself was around the time that Love Hina was coming out, around the time Azumanga Daioh came out, and those shows reminded me that anime is supposed to be fun. So I can watch those shows without ever doing any kind of analysis or cultural reading or questioning where things came from. I can just put them on and enjoy them. Excel Saga, you just put it on and have fun with it. So those are the shows that I watch when I want to be thoroughly entertained. Oh, and of course, Cowboy Bebop and Space Dandy, because it's pretty much just the same show.
Yeah.
Outlaw Star, same show.
Yeah.
So those are the ones, like, it's like my tastes in terms of things I have the most fun watching are definitely things from like that late 90s through early aughts period of my life, before I started studying culture, when I was just really a confused college student who watched anime because it was fun. And it was my AnimeNEXT 03 was a great year for me because the creator of Outlaw Star was here. And I fangasmed all over him, then got glomped down a flight of stairs. So, yeah.
Well, thankfully you survived, Charles. Thank you, my friend.
Of course, always.
We're actually not going away, but you're not going to see it. Well, yeah, we're going to drink this, and then Charles is going to interview me.
I'm going to interview him. Now, chances are this interview will not appear on the website for a while, but there will be some continuity when it eventually happens. Continuity! We can retcon if we want.
Well, we're going to be better than Secret Wars or Convergence, so we'll be at least better than that.
I don't give a damn about Secret Wars. I don't give a damn about American comics, I'm sorry to say. The last American comics that I really liked was Fables, and even that got weird. So, like, when it comes to me in American comics, just give me the indies. It's like me in video games now. Just give me the indies and I'll have fun with it.
Well, until the next interview, anime fans, stay golden.
You can't see me.
He stole the Declaration of Independence! I stole it first!
Hey there, Zombie Generation, and welcome to yet another interview here at AnimeNEXT 2015. We are here with Tyson Rinehart.
Hello.
He's done many roles. He's done many ADR writing roles. Of course, for us here at the network, we know him as our beloved Matsuda from High School DxD, the best bleeping show on air today. I challenge you.
I challenge issue.
And with that has to be part of the first question. What has been the best part about working on High School DxD? Because you worked as both a voice actor and as an ADR writer. And your character Matsuda.
Well, as an ADR writer for DxD, I've been working on the majority of the third season, DxD Born. I wrote the first episode, which was a lot of fun because it kind of let me kind of set the tone for the rest of the show. And that's kind of the first time I've gotten around to get to that opportunity to really kind of start off and let other people kind of take their clue from where I'm going with it. And with that, with a show like DxD, we want to have fun with it. We want to have fun. We want you guys to have fun when you're watching it, and it's rife for a good time. That show was made for people to enjoy, and there's so many things. Like, I'm a big fan of throwing in pop culture references and stuff like that I love into my scripts. So the very first episode of the new season of High School DxD, I've got a reference to The Last Dragon. I've got references to all sorts of things. I probably worked in a Ghostbusters reference somewhere in there. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to get to look at the bevy of beauties in DxD, and
I listened to the commentary on the first
and to get paid to rewind and rewatch. That's okay too, you know.
I mean, I listened.
Oh well.
I've listened to a lot of commentaries. I challenge anybody to find a funnier commentary than that one. But it was Scott Friedman, and it was I'm blanking on her name, but she played Kaneko.
Oh, Jade Saxton.
Jade Saxton.
Yeah. That was a fun one.
Because she did the commentary on, I believe it was Issei Looking for the Familiar, and then of course the dodgeball tournament.
Yes.
Or it's the other way around. Actually, going on that, what has been the best behind-the-scenes story that you can tell about working on the series?
Well, there's a thing that we like to do. We refer to it as dropping bombs for the other actors. So as a writer, there will be certain things that I write into the script. Like I will write the real line, and then I'll kind of slide it down a little bit, and then I'll write a joke line in there. And that's my little gift to the actor who's coming in to do it. But then there's also the ones that the actors themselves do, where they're recording a line, and then they have a line that happens right before someone else's, and then they say something completely different from the script. It's like, oh, Issei, I'm so worried about this happening, and his line is, oh, don't worry, I'll be there for you. But he's like, I may not be there for you because I have really bad diarrhea, like something like that. And then the person who comes in to record next reads the line that the person before them is supposed to say, and then the diarrhea thing comes up, and then they have to just stop, and everybody starts it over again. That's a lot of fun. One of my favorites is actually with DxD. If you go back and you watch episode 1 of season 1, and you listen to Matsuda, he changes very much from episode 1, season 1 to episode 2, season 1. And that was basically, it was a choice that Jamie Markey had made because she was the head writer, or the lead writer on the show. And she decided that she didn't want Matsuda and Motohama, who make up the rest of the perverted trio, to just be standard pervert teen guys. That's already part of it, let's add some more to it. So with Motohama, we kind of like pushed the like Revenge of the Nerds kind of like aspect to it, because he's the guy with the glasses that you can't see the eyes, and like it's just perfect to go with that. And for Matsuda, he's kind of more of a jockey kind of guy, so we turned him totally like ghetto. I became a characterization of Ian Sinclair's younger brother. That was my inspiration. That was what I was told for episode 2. Was like, just do your best impression of Ian's little brother. I was like, are you sure? That's where we're going with this? And so that's what we did. And Matsuda became Matsuda, and it hasn't gone back ever since. And I've had a kick with it. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. And Matsuda, of course, is a favorite character. And you've done many characters while voice. And, of course, you've written many characters as an EDR writer. So what characters have meant the most to you, both as a voice actor and as an EDR writer?
That's an excellent question. Daru from Steins Gate is probably my favorite voice character that I've ever done, just because he has so much of me in him already. Even if I hadn't voiced him, I'm a heavy-set dude who wears a cap and makes fun of my friends and enjoys 2D anime sexy drawings. I am that guy, except for I'm not as good at computers as he is. So he sticks really close to my heart. I really enjoyed working on Rolling Girls. I was Momiyama, and I went from what seems like just some bureaucrat, whatever guy, to all of a sudden I'm like an awesome secret agent. At one point, I surf a rickshaw up a hill, and if I could ever make that work in real life, I would die happy. I'd be like, cool, I can go now. I just defied the laws of physics in the most badass way possible.
You're going to go into the AMV contest tomorrow, whatever, and there's going to be that scene, and it could go, Secret Agent Man.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And he's got rockin' sideburns, and I'm a fan of rockin' sideburns. As far as writing goes, I worked on Attack on Titan, doing some of the writing, and there's just so many great characters in that show. Petra being one that just really, I was a huge fan of her character. It's especially with a show like Titan, it's really painful because some of these people that you fall in love with and want to see more of are gone in an instant. You know, like Game of Thrones and all the other things are really popular right now, where losing something you love is part of the experience, and that's awesome and sad and beautiful and everything. I've had a number of having to kill off character episodes that have been really difficult. Ones where I was crying and having to like call my boss and be like, it's going to be another couple hours. I just can't do this right now. My soul hurts. And then there's, writing fun shows like DxD where I'm like, cool, I'm going to make a boob joke. So it's really fun, like flying between the two. I love working on shows like DxD because you get so much freedom and just have fun with it, and like, if it's funny, make it work, and then, the more serious shows like Titan, like pulling in the elements of characters that make them important to people and harnessing that and trying to ride with it, and it's a really great experience. But all in all, I'd say the very best person that I ever wrote lines for would be Keith, the drill sergeant, in episode 3 of Attack on Titan, where I summoned Arlie Ermey from Full Metal Jacket and went full on, what is your major malfunction? And that was a lot of fun. That was probably one of the proudest things I've written. So,
well, and again, both of them go hand in hand, because I think doing EDR writing helps in doing voice acting, and it creates some great moments. So, what is your favorite in booth moment?
One of the things that sticks in my mind, because we go into the booth and we don't necessarily know what we're going to be doing when we get called in. So you kind of just show up and see what happens. Like Napoleon's plan for Waterloo. Didn't work out for him, works out great for ADR. But yeah, I one of my favorite memories was actually not of me being in the booth. It was Chris Kaysen who was in the booth, and we were working on Walla for Italia. And I was just sitting there watching him work, and he voiced a menagerie of different animals by merely saying the name of the animal. And so, like, there's a leopard on the screen, and he's like, leopard, and stuff like that. And then it gets to ostrich, he's just like, ostrich! And I laughed for like 5 straight minutes. I don't know why I found it so funny then. I don't know why I find it so funny now. But something about it just resonated right then and there, and it just cracked me up. Now, one of my like booth horror stories was Steins Gate was my first big role, like where as a major character, and I was very excited about it and really psyched. And I got a note being like, "Hey, we need you to come in. You're going to be voicing this character. We got X amount of time for you to do. How do you want to work it out?" And I said, "Cool, I'll come in like tomorrow and we get a bunch of it done." And I went in, and I was the first person to record. So everything I was recording to was silence. So like I'm sitting there watching the other character flap the mouth, and then I talk to them, and then stop and watch their response, but can't hear it. And I come from a stage theater background, so I'm so used to having that like looking into the eyes of your co-star and talking and having the reciprocation there.
The conversation, the gaze back and forth that makes it feel natural.
Exactly. And so then you're taking that and you're trying to make it sound conversational and natural, but you're doing it to a vacuum. And so it was so jarring. I had like absolutely like, at the end of the day, I was just like, was that good? Was that bad? Am I worth anything? Like, what's going on? And also coming from a stage background, you also have the audience there to laugh at your jokes or awe at the sad moments and all that stuff, and that wasn't there either. So I just had the director and the engineer being like, "That was good, let's move on. That was bad, let's rework it." And so it's so much like learning right then and there. I had to learn, you've got to trust the director for a project like this because they're the only person who really knows what's going on. And all in all, it's a really good process. But I have to say my favorite stuff that I've ever done in the booth is almost always WALA. WALA is the industry term. It stands for With All Actors, and that's going to be the soldiers in a giant army scene or background noise in a cafe, during one of those scenes. And so that is where you can ad-lib. That's where you can, die 1,000 different ways. Like that. One of my favorite things, I worked on a live action. It was like Ninja versus Vampire or something like that. And I was a rice farmer vampire, and I was in a fight in a mill that was like grinding the rice into meal, and Ninja used a big log to smash my head against the wall, and so I had to make the like pain noise, but that got cut off like instantaneously because my head was turned into jelly. And it's just little things like that I really enjoy, because like you have to pay attention to the details to make it seamlessly fit in. And it's one of those things. It's because you never know what you're gonna do, and when you're like, oh cool, I get my head crushed by a log, a lot of the weight is off your shoulders at that point. You're just like, yeah, sure, I can do that, you know. But when you've got the lines and stuff, you really feel like I gotta do this right, because if I don't do it right, I'm wasting everybody's time. And but yeah, like, between just the different bombs that people leave on the headset, so that when you're about to record something, they say something disgusting and you start laughing. Between those and yeah, watching just other people who are a lot of fun. There's so many great booth memories to have.
Well, you know, the thing you're talking about, we're obviously talking about people doing stuff on purpose, but not everything's on purpose. Some stuff is on accident.
Yes.
I've heard so many funny flub stories from, you know, Scott McNeil's epic Wolverine roar that ends in a so I gotta ask you, as an ADR, as somebody who's maybe sat on the other side of the glass and watched the performances, what has been the funniest flub you've ever seen?
That I've ever seen?
Yeah.
That's a toughie. I know one of my favorite hated memories is I was doing a line and I was supposed to be really earnest and, you know, really like, this is real deal stuff. We're having a major conversation that could affect our lives. Blah, blah, and then just, we're just gonna have to do all that again, aren't we? You know, like it's so bodily functions kind of working their way into your performance is something that you don't always have to worry about. But when there's a microphone that picks up everything, it becomes very apparent. So it's one of those things where it's like, you want to make sure you eat before you go to the booth, because you don't want your stomach to growl. But you don't want to eat too much, because you also don't want to hear it digesting. So it's always like have to get just the right amount, like a little seesaw of where's the right place to be. And so yeah, I always, the sad thing is it'll happen more than once, just because bodies do their thing. And so yeah, giving like a really heartfelt, serious speech, and then just having them, and then be like, yeah, let's just go ahead and take all that from the top. That was all. We just wasted 5 minutes, didn't we? That's it's one that bites, but in retrospect, it's pretty funny.
I guess that moves us on to our last question. Mm-hmm. And, you know, of course, your career is fairly young in voice acting. And there's been so many great voice actors. You know, we talk about it on here. You know, mine, Mount Rushmore, if we can call it that, would be like Scott McNeil, Jim Cummings, Mel Blanc.
Yeah.
And those guys on there. So what is your Mount Rushmore of voice actors?
That's a very good question. 2 are very easy. It's going to be Mel Blanc and Billy West, just because they're titans in the industry. And really none of us would be doing the job the way it is now had Mel Blanc not kind of set the groundwork. Outside of that, there's a British actor who isn't just known for his voiceover work, but his voiceover work is fantastic. It's Matt Berry. You may, for people who watch Adult Swim, you may have seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. He plays Dr. Lucian Sanchez. He's awesome. His voice is like butter if it were made of velvet. Like, it's amazing. Like, everything he does just sounds awesome. He could read the Denny's menu, and you could probably get laid. You know, like, that's how good it sounds. And so that's 3 of my 4. Let's see. 4th, I'd have to say Chris Sabat, because the man's a chameleon, and he's totally established an empire for himself on being awesome. Also, I know him and would love to work with him some more in the future. But no, he's a badass, and he's got. When I realized that not only was he Vegeta and Piccolo, but also Yamcha, I was like, dude, that's awesome, man. Not to weird you out or anything, because we're hanging out, but that's awesome, man. He's up there. Like he's got so much talent, and he's really fun, and he is one of the pranksterest son of guns in the industry. Like. I always, from the moment I had a smartphone, I had a passcode into it, but I was never gladder that had been my choice from the get-go than after the first time I hung out with Sabbath, and I realized that he loves to get into people's phones and make Facebook updates while they're in the restroom and stuff like that. So I luckily had been able to confound his attempts at doing that to me, at least as far as that's concerned. But I love hearing about what he does to the other kids. It's a lot of fun. I believe he left a live lobster in Terry Doty's room at a con, and at the time she was a vegetarian, so that was a very fun experience.
Ouch.
Yeah. Do I call the front desk about this or?
Well, Tyson, thank you for spending some time to hang out with us.
My pleasure entirely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And anime fans and Toonami fans, we will be back with another interview here at AnimeNEXT 2015. So until next time, stay golden.
Whenever you're ready. Welcome to the televised revolution as we drift through outer space aboard the Absolution. With time back and active duty as captain in charge of bringing superior anime action. Yeah, you came to the right place if you have a taste for animation in deep space base. Broadcast through your television due to the progress of the Bring Back Toonami Twitter mission. The same block that brought us Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z is back, so stay tuned. I remember way back, never leaving my room. I stayed glued to my TV weekday afternoons. Yeah, and thanks to Adult Swim, I have a reason to use the TV in my room again. Cause every night I'll be tuning in since they going back to show in action tunes again. Toonami's back, bitches. Wait, did you say Toonami's back, bitches? That's the official hashtag if you missed it. To celebrate time's return to television. Yeah, Toonami's back, bitches. Wait, did you say Toonami's back, bitches? That's the official hashtag if you missed it. To celebrate time's return to television. Welcome to the anime action fan sanctuary, with Tom providing that slick commentary. The other king of television besides Mary, full of new shows and classics on the